In this video, we're going to be doing a product comparison between the big three data visualization tools that are on the market, that are often looked for in job postings for data analysts and marketing analysts. And we're going to see which one is best, the pros and cons, what skill set you need to learn, which one you think it could be better or best. And as a disclaimer, this is going to be more focused on people who want to decide which data viz tool they should learn to potentially get a job in this field. But if someone wants to watch this for other reasons, like if they're deciding which data viz tool to use, you can also use this for that. This video is multi-purpose. So by the end of this video, I think you'll be much more well acquainted with which tool is best suited for you in terms of which one you should learn, or if you should learn more than one tool. Hint, hint. And on top of that, I want to give you a quick intro about me so you have some sense of my credibility. I've been working for 8 years, almost 9 years in the digital marketing world as a working professional after college. I've worked for the first 5 years in the field of digital marketing at an agency, performance agency, more like PPC, SEO, those types of fields to like get exposure for clients. And there's a wide range of industries I work with there, from tech to software to B2B to roofing and law. And then I moved to another agency where I've been working for a little over 3 years as a digital marketing data analyst. And this role is one where I'm focused more so on collecting data, capturing custom metrics, analyzing that data, creating strategy reports, presentations, and data visualization dashboards for leaders of large companies, mid-sized companies, to help them better understand the historical past of their data analytics, identify the metrics that matter the most, and essentially help them make business decisions to influence those numbers in a positive direction. So with that being said, I have a quick little presentation prepared. I like presentations that aren't a lot of words. So you won't see a lot of slides on here. I'll be talking and just discussing some of the key things. That's how I like my presentations. I think those are the most effective. So the first big one you may start to hear about, you see this a lot in job postings, as well as just in general, when you're getting more sophisticated and growing as a company, is Tableau. And that's for a reason. I think it is a dominant player. Now, for someone who's used Tableau, I would say, is it perfect? No. I've found technical glitches with it, issues with logging in or resetting passwords, just like issues that come from the bloat of how big it is and how many people use it and how sophisticated it is. But with all that being said, it is still one of the best visualizations tools on the market. There's the most versatility. You can run the most sophisticated visualizations with this. You can plot and create the most amazing charts and graphs. I mean, if you search Game of Thrones Tableau dashboard example, that's one of thousands of examples online. They actually have a public database of visualizations that people have done. And I mean, you can even search one for the Olympics, which just happened. And there are people who are just so good at this and just love to post examples of what they do. And you can just see how amazing those visualizations are. And it's just incredible. And maybe I'll show a few a little bit later, but I do want to talk a bit more about this before I do. It just shows you how robust this tool is, and it just goes to show you how incredible this tool is and how imaginative you can get with the charts and bring them in and plot all these complex data sets in such amazing ways. So actually, let me just see if I can, well, actually, no, I'll do it later. Actually, no, I could do it now. So let me just jump over to Google and let's type in Tableau Game of Thrones example, just to show you what the heck I'm talking about here. And then I love this example, but there's so many on the web. These are some of the more advanced visualizations. So Don't expect to get here immediately, but this individual, Adam McCain, he literally plotted out by character and by house who gets the most screen time on Game of Thrones. I mean, incredible. First, to just collect that data is not easy, but then to plot it out in such a very digestible, innovative way. And then we can see here Ned Stark gets limited time. He gets killed off in season one, spoiler alert. And then some of the bigger ones, Peter Baelish, Samuel Tarly, they just get a lot of screen time. And you could click in, you could see it by color, you could see it by house. And that's the beauty and power of a marketing data analyst. Um, Someone who is more of a beginner may plot the same thing in a very convoluted, boring way that's just hard for a stakeholder to understand. The go-to default is usually like a table or a line chart or something, and it's just not very digestible, not very fun, and it just leads to a disaster. But there's so many benefits to Tableau, on one of them being this. I mean, you can't really even come close to something similar with one of the other um, dashboard tools I'm going to mention here. Um, and I'll tell you what it is. Looker Studio, Google Looker Studio, it just doesn't compare to the versatility of Tableau. Now, you may not need that level of versatility, so you may not need a Tableau. But another benefit to Tableau, it's so sophisticated that it is compatible with so many different data sources. You could pull in things from cloud warehouses. You could pull in things from your own data warehouses. You can pull in data from obscure third-party platforms with a firewall behind it, like Vuture, which is one of the more niche email marketing platforms out there. So there's just so much more you can do. Whereas with some of these other tools I'll mention, yeah, if you're gonna get to that, like you're just not going to be able to pull that in. It's just gonna be too convoluted for some of these other tools to handle. So this is really kind of like the Ferrari of the pack, but it's for a reason. It's very sought after as a skill set. But there's also a kind of barrier to entry, a moat, if you will. There's a very high learning curve. I myself had to study for months and then take a very strenuous certification exam where they have a live camera on you at all times. They even have you clear off all the area around you, have your webcam look around you to make sure you're not cheating during the exam. And then the exam itself is like 2 hours long, so it's not easy. So yeah, they do a lot just to make sure it's you're not cheating, and it's just super high learning curve. Also very difficult to get real experience in because this is a high cost tool. I don't know the exact cost, but it's not something like $10 a month or $100 a month. We're talking thousands of dollars. And so it's really reserved for some of the high budget, large companies who have the need to handle lots of data. And typically for a data viz tool of this sort, or any data viz tool, you're trying to pull in data sources that are more than one, multiple data sources. And so, you may have data coming from Facebook ads, data coming from Google Analytics, data coming from a niche email platform, data coming from your cloud data warehouse to store, internal data from your authenticated experience. So as you can tell, this is no small beans task, and that's why you need something as robust as Tableau. But even once you get that data in, it is not easy to learn how to like plot and chart that data. It's not, I wouldn't say it's the hardest thing in the world. There's obviously harder stuff to learn, like thermodynamics, or what's a good example? Rocket science, or advanced fluid physics. But just to be clear, like it's not as easy as some of these other tools, to put it simply. So the benefit is it is a rare skill set. It's often a key highlighted bullet point in job postings. So definitely worth checking out if you are at that stage as a company or as someone who wants to get a job. Okay, moving on to the next one of the pack, Looker Studio, otherwise known as Google Looker Studio. It used to be called just Google uh, Studio, I believe, but then they acquired Looker, which was another giant data viz tool, and then they fused it with their existing tool. So now it's owned by Google, and it's now called Google Looker Studio. And this one has the lowest learning curve out of the three I will mention. I would say it's pretty easy to learn. Um, I would say within a day, you can get to a intermediate level of skill with this, especially if you're trained with someone who knows what they're doing and can show you around. It's super intuitive. A lot of it's drag and drop, click to edit. Um, is it like the super easiest thing to learn? No, but if you're like somewhat smart, I think you could figure it out fairly quickly. And then on top of that, within like a week or 2 weeks, I think you can get really up to speed on how to use it. Another huge benefit is it's low cost. It used to be free, but now because of how most of the world is using it, because it's free and pretty good, kind of like similar to Google Analytics, now they've added some cost. So there is a quota. If you're a small business or small website, you will not run into that quota. But I have found that with larger, more uh, big data type of businesses that I've worked with, you will hit some quota where you're just processing so much data that they will prompt you to pay a monthly fee based off your data needs to essentially keep it running. And so at that point, you have to consider alternatives, not necessarily moving to Power BI or Tableau, although those are options. But another one that we typically go with is we take the data that's being processed and then we store it directly in Google Cloud, which is a lot cheaper. And then we bring that from Google Cloud's BigQuery, which is basically a cloud data warehouse to store a lot of data. We bring that data into Looker Studio. So Looker Studio itself is not the one processing the data. So it's a great stepping stone for anyone who wants to start out, whether you're a business trying to, start to visualize data, or you're a beginner trying to gain more skills to further your career. I would say this is the first one you should start with. It's a great, gateway drug or gateway, uh, that was a joke, by the way, a gateway uh, tool to really get you into all of these data tools. And I think it's really useful for a lot of companies who don't have many needs. They don't have 50 different advanced data sources that they want to connect and bring in. They just want to bring in Google Analytics and Facebook ads, and then maybe LinkedIn ads as well. This is your tool of choice for that. Like it doesn't get more complicated than this. However, as mentioned, like as people are using this more and stuff like that, it wasn't as easy as back in the day where you could just connect Facebook ads to it. Now you need to buy a third-party connector tool. I recommend something like a funnel.io or Supermetrics. And you need basically a third-party tool that also has a monthly fee of like, I don't know what it is, like it usually ranges from like $50 a month to 100. We can actually check if you want. Let's go to funnel.io, go to pricing. Yeah, so everything from, now they have these flex points, but you're probably going to be paying, depending on how much, you know, you're going to be processing, anywhere from $50 a month to, a couple $100 a month to connect the data you want into this. So it just depends. Now, if you're working with just the Google suite of tools, that's all free. So this type of data viz tool works great with just Google products. So a big one, a very common one, is people just want to visualize Google Analytics, and this is the best way of doing it. GA4 is just not very conducive to good reports nowadays. So Google's definitely been pushing you to use Google Looker Studio a lot more. So even if you're collecting the data and there's some basic reports in Google Analytics, you're probably better off bringing that into Looker Studio. But like I mentioned, even with that, it's free with an asterisk up until a point where you're processing a lot of data. So, back in like 2016, 2017, even 2018, things were a lot simpler. This whole thing was free. You could just connect them all, super simple to use. While it's still a very dominant tool in the marketplace, once you get to a level of sophistication with the business you're working with, um, it starts to have its limits. But even then, I think you could get it to work well with a funnel.io, which has a lot of connecting options with a lot of dominant platforms. So low learning curve, easy to get experience in. It's free. So if you can't get access to the other tools, this is free to start playing around with online, and you can get up to speed and put it on your resume fairly quickly. I mean, it's free to just set up some example projects you can put on your portfolio. Lastly, we have Power BI, which I would say has a medium level of learning curve. I would say it's not as hard as Tableau. It's not as easy as Looker Studio. Also, a medium level of effort to get experience in. This is not a free tool. It is pretty pricey. So your best bet is to essentially either find some way of getting to work on this. The best way is probably to get a job and work at an agency where you have clients who use this, and then be vocal and take the initiative and volunteer to say, hey, I want to use this tool. I want to work on this client. So it only works for Windows users, only works for Microsoft users. So that's another uh, almost downside for anyone who's kind of using this type of product. And it's kind of like a Microsoft only type of deal. So Mac users, sorry, but um, for me in my experience, we found workarounds. There are remote desktops where you can log in through a Mac and then simulate a Windows experience. Despite the fact that it's Windows only, because it's owned by Microsoft, it has a huge following as well. A lot of companies prefer using this. A lot of companies look for this, and it's a big bullet point on job postings. So it's somewhat sought after. Now, one thing I would highly recommend is, why not get used to more than one tool? If I could build my ideal marketing data analyst, this person would be proficient in all three of these tools, because especially if you're working agency life, you're going to run into more than one of these. If you're applying to a job, you're probably going to run into more than one of these. If you only have one, you're basically shooting yourself in the foot. I'm not saying you can't get a job with just one, but you're very much limiting your options. And you really need to take initiative and find some way, shape, or form of getting skill in all of these. Um, I think your competition, if you're going to be applying to jobs, is probably going to be saying and claiming that they have experience in all of these, but in reality, they only have experience in the free one, Google Looker Studio. And employers, hiring managers will be able to sniff that out most of the time, which means what I'm saying is the best way of getting what you want is to deserve what you want. And that's a quote from Charlie Munger. And so do whatever you need to do. Get free work, offer to do free work, network, collaborate, get your foot in the door at a stepping stone company. Whatever you need to do to get experience in all three of these, because that will set you apart in the long run and build a solid foundation for you to be a sought after candidate, where you don't have to fake or fib. You actually have these skills. Okay, so enough rambling on that. What else do we need to know about this? It's not cheap as well. It has a hefty cost to it. It also works very well with many, many data sources. It offers native connections, kind of like Tableau, to a lot of different skill sets. With Tableau as well, I think it's another reason why it's kind of the most hardest to learn, and most expensive, is because Tableau is actually a suite of tools. There's Tableau Cloud, Tableau Desktop, Tableau Bridge, Tableau Public. There's all these variations of Tableau. The desktop one is a program you can actually install on your computer, and you can build your dashboards on your computer. Whereas Tableau Cloud is more of a cloud-based web version. There's also Tableau Bridge, which is another ancillary tool that you would probably want to learn to be able to connect your Tableau dashboard to a lot more data sources. So the difference is with Power BI, I believe a lot of those connectors are kind of built into the interface. All three of these tools do have native connectors to the most common platforms. Think of some of the big ones like Excel, Google Sheets, Google Analytics. But a lot of these still need a lot of kind of learning to make it work, because some of them still need some extra work to have them connect and work with these other tools. So if you want more tips on that, I actually found a great YouTuber. I'm not affiliated with him, but Tableau Tim on YouTube is a great resource for learning Tableau. Anyhow, Power BI, like I said, kind of medium, not easy to learn by any means, but not the most difficult. Only works for Windows, works with many data sources, a great skill set to have under your belt. And I just want to conclude by saying that uh, get more skill set in all three of these. So please hit that subscribe button, leave a comment about what you want to see next. And if you want to join my free email newsletter, it's linked in the description, where I'll give you exclusive tips on how you can become a marketing analyst. I even offer free coaching, workshops, all that type of stuff. So thanks for watching. See you in the next video.